I don't know, a bit more grace rather than fixing a bayonet and sort of getting in a battle with. We all know that.
All that talent to become the best in the world. But with each passing game, the picture becomes clearer that this might never happen. On one hand, we're dealing with a guy who can quite literally do everything in football.
Moment, but the best player, he has to be Vinicius Junior. His ability, his speed, his boldness on facing players on 1v1 situation.
But on the other hand, it's this.
He was awful. Moaned about the referees.
Yeah.
Just stopped playing, wanting fouls. His head was all over the place. Yesterday he sensed it.
Game after game, week after week, this becomes as confusing as trying to understand the man himself. And that brings us to the ultimate question. How is a player as good as Vinicius Junior still arguably the most hated player in the world? Before we get into it though, hit that subscribe button to Football Historia down below to get more quality videos like this. The incident versus Man City a few weeks back was the latest in a long line of opposition fans versus Brazil's Samba Prince. There was no hiding this, a direct attack on Vinicius Junior from the fanbase of an entire club. That was sending a direct message to the player, and this wouldn't be the first time he's had to deal with a situation like this. Just 2 seasons ago, ahead of a clash against City rivals Atletico Madrid, the fans did this as a direct sub to the player. To understand why stuff like this keeps happening, we've got to understand who the player in question is. Vinicius Junior? A phenomenal talent.
Yeah, so Vini I know from when he's 18, we came at the same moment to the club and a lot of people laughed with him because of missing goals and so, but you could see he had something special, and Eden told me straight away when he saw him, he said, this guy will be good.
Why? What was the reason? What did he see?
I don't know, he just felt that Vini had something special, and yeah, just an unbelievable player, and I think how he say everything he's been through. It's not easy for him to go to every stadium if like from the first moment they whistle him, they shout at him, they try to kick him out of the game, to try to make him being mad and so, but I think he learned to deal with it.
Eden Hazard did see the future. From the point he arrived at Real Madrid up until now, Vinicius Junior's transformation has been incredible. He's gone from the guy who was missing chances like this, the guy who his teammates didn't even want to pass the ball to, and now becoming one of the very best in the world. He's the combination of everything: goals, assists, end product, skills, dribbles, moments in big games. Ever since he turned his game around, he's been Real Madrid's go-to solution on several occasions. 186 goal contributions in 296 games for Los Blancos, and he's still only 24. You get the idea by now. We're dealing with a very special talent. And yet, despite all of this, Vinicius Junior is still one of the most hated players in the world. Why? Well guys, there are quite a few reasons for that, but the most obvious one has to be his attitude.
But again, his temperament, it just takes away from his game, you know, because...
It might seem controversial, but we're going to get into it anyway. For a player with this much talent and so much natural ability, Vinicius Junior finds himself in situations he can avoid a lot more than he has. There's a lot of examples. Pushing Willy Orban. Or this from 2022, a completely needless situation where he goes in body first on Aymeric Laporte. So many moments to choose from. It's even been so bad that his manager has had to stop him from getting into further trouble. Now let's get down to a more recent incident. Real Madrid versus Valencia, a ground where Vini had suffered previous problems in the past. A place where you'd have expected him to learn the lessons of keeping his attitude and emotions in check. And then this happens. He gets sent off for a blatant push on the goalie. Actually, that isn't even a push. It seems like he tried to shove his head off. And the scene it created right after, very ugly. Look at that. It took 2 Real Madrid players and one of the coaching staff to finally get him off the pitch and into the tunnel. Else he'd have been going for the ref next. It's obvious at this point what the problem is. Everyone knows it. Well, everyone except Vinicius Junior himself, that is.
Will provocate him, absolutely. But that is so predictable. He knows that.
Opposing fullbacks have figured it out. Again, there's no denying his talent, but in cases where they can't stop him, they have a right to go at him, little stuff away from the ref, because they know that he'll retaliate and turn it into an ugly scene. I can't believe it's as easy as this. And what makes it even crazier is that Vinicius Junior knows about this theory. He knows what's going to happen, and yet still allows himself to get into these situations.
This is what Vinicius had to say about himself. He said, "It makes me sad everyone wants to fight with me because they know it will be Vinny did this, Vinny did that. In the press, I try to stay calm and focus on doing as well as possible. It's not all about me. Of course I'm no saint. Sometimes I talk too much, sometimes I dribble when I shouldn't, but I'm here to improve and to be a role model to kids. I want to improve." Mario?
You can see him talk about it here. How he knows everyone wants to fight him because the narrative will turn on him, and how he knows he talks too much when he can easily walk out of these situations. And yet, time after time, he continues to allow them to happen. It's like a chain reaction when these things happen. The red card in this case doesn't just affect Vinicius Junior. With the ban and suspension, it puts his team down to 10 men. He's clearly got attitude problems, but especially with him, it's very frustrating. It's not uncommon to come across footballers who have had similar issues with attitudes in the past, needless red cards or talking themselves into trouble. But the general trend you'll notice is that as these guys get older, they become wiser. They know when to stop, know when they've pushed beyond the limit and walk away. Vinicius Junior has been at the club for 6 years now, and yet it's as if, in the aspect of his attitude, nothing has changed. The attitude is one problem. The other? Skill. You'd probably be thinking, how has his natural ability become a problem for him now? Well, quick heads up. This will be very controversial.
Do some of those players, when they give you the whole, they cover their mouth, do they say anything good to you, like, especially like the Mbappes, the Vinnies?
I think the Vinny one was a good one, you know. He tried to rainbow flip me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
You taking that as a disrespect?
Yeah, no, it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I said, in my life, he was not getting that ball. Whether I fouled you or I took the ball, you was not getting that ball after. I said, you can't ever do that again to me, ever in your life.
What did he say?
No, he just started laughing. He just started laughing, yeah.
He knows that as well.
Yeah.
Now, in this clip of Kyle Walker talking about Vinny, it's from the 2022-23 Champions League semi-final first leg. One of the most eagerly anticipated clashes, Real Madrid versus Man City, and the subplot of Vinny in some serious form versus one of the best right-backs in the game, Kyle Walker. And then Vinny does this. Now, I understand this could be subjective, because on one hand, he's a player with loads of talent who likes to express himself, and that's what he tries to do in this situation, a rainbow flick on Walker. But let's see this from the aspect of Walker again.
Oh, yeah.
You taking that as a disrespect?
Yeah, no, it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I said, in my life, he was not getting that ball. Whether I fouled you or I took the ball.
Replay the clip. Kyle Walker literally says on his life, Vinny isn't successfully pulling this off. Even if he tries to, he's made it clear that he'd foul him. Pay close attention now and you'll see the reasons beginning to develop into a pattern. If you're a fullback or the opposition and a player like Vinny attempts to humiliate you like this, the instinct is to give some sort of crazy reaction. It's already a problem, then add this to the fact that he's got attitude problems, and he's almost certain to react when he gets fouled after attempting to humiliate an opponent. And that's the pattern, a trend with only one outcome: chaos. It can be very frustrating too if you're a teammate.
He has to learn when he's calm, he's incredible. They provoke him and the referees perhaps could do more to help him. He's the type of player we all want to see, except our rivals. He has to live with this.
This was Tony Kroos speaking about Vinny back in 2023. In his playing days, Kroos was one of the more calmer and experienced heads on the team. He'd seen almost everything, and a player like that giving him advice should be invaluable. It's 2025, and the teammates are still experiencing the same issues with him. This is Luka Modric having a go at him recently after he gave the ball away by dribbling rather than helping the team. You could make the argument that he's Brazilian, a samba boy, from a country full of talent that likes to express itself in this manner, and us versus them mentality. When it's becoming in excess to the point where the team is suffering as a result, it's again a problem. If you thought the second was controversial, the third is a very heated topic.
Para que eu possa fazer o melhor para minha equipe, às vezes nem sempre é possível, então eu tenho que me concentrar muito todos os dias.
It's what he stands for. You can see him in tears discussing the issue here: racism. Vinicius Junior has been an advocate for the fight against racism over the years. From the incident against Valencia to the series of abuse he suffered online over the subject, he's made it clear what his stance is. La Liga has been known for incidents like this over the years. Unfortunately, Spain has had so many racist incidents, from players like Samuel Eto'o back in the day to Vinicius Junior now. In relating this to the topic, it's again very clear that Vinny continues to be a frontrunner in his fight against racism. So, is any of this his fault then? Honestly, in this regard, the answer is no. It doesn't matter how easily triggered he is. Doesn't matter the way he plays. If he likes to showboat or does tricks every minute, there is no excuse for racism. And to this end, he's been very active in trying to fight this problem. The issue with this is that it's almost as if Vinicius Junior has become a constant target for clubs to this end. The Valencia incident became popular because it was the most documented, but there have also been other instances where he suffered racial abuse as well. Now let's state the fact. It doesn't matter the personality or character makeup of a player. If someone comes at you or a group of people because of the color of your skin, it's a trigger that most people would react to. In Vinicius' case, he has had to experience this on several occasions. When you add all these reasons together, that becomes the makeup, the issues Vinicius Junior is dealing with. Attitude, skills, and the fight against a bigger picture. While he can deal with the first two, unfortunately, the third one is something that, as of the present day, might always stay the same in society. Let's focus on the first two now. Think about the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, the two greatest players of the last generation, possibly of all time. At much younger ages, they had to deal with attitude problems, but as we talked about earlier, it's been clear to see that they grew up from that. Vinny has been around a while now, and yet he hasn't grown from it. That's the difference between himself and the player he wants to be. You'd hardly ever see Ronaldo or Messi going headfirst into a tackle or having a heated argument, simply because they felt their teammate was harshly treated. But you see the same all the time with Vinny. On the aspect of the skills, it's again very dicey because on this part, in terms of what he can do, he can choose the path he wants to take, the person he wants to become. This guy, for example, very similar to Vinicius. In his prime, Neymar would easily have been the best in the world. Or Ronaldinho, another one of his idols. There's again an emerging pattern here. Both players, Neymar and Ronaldinho, are similar to Vinicius in certain aspects. The dribbling, close control, spectacular goals. We can certainly see elements of their game in the Brazilian, but there's a point here. We did say all of this depends on the path Vinny chooses to take. Now he can either decide to be like Neymar and Ronaldinho, or he can decide to be like Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. What's the difference between the two sets of players? Well, it's consistency in the long run, knowing when to stop, when to make the step up. Still on this, look at how Neymar's career panned out. The skills he showed the world every week, just like Vinny does now, ended up being his downfall. He got so many injuries that he found it hard to maintain a rhythm enough to get back to the top of his game, and now he's back home at Santos trying to regain his form. It's all down to Vinny. He must know now, using Neymar as an example, that while his skills are incredible, the type fans would pay money to watch every week, he's only putting himself at risk. The opposition will keep coming at him every time he does that. I mean, no one wants to get embarrassed on live TV. And when you add attitude problems and the need to want to retaliate to the mix, it's a situation. Now, I did say at the beginning that sometimes it's difficult dealing with Vinny Jr., and that's because some of these problems, he's got every right to find solutions himself. Let's go back into Man City's Tifo versus Real Madrid weeks back. Coming from a club like City, with what they've achieved over the years, and the club they've turned out to be in the modern game, that was very dumb. There's no denying that this Tifo was directed to Vinicius Junior. You could see it from the angles or this image. It became very clear it was meant to trigger him, but in the end, it backfired.
Siempre que los aficionados al contrario hacen cosas, ellos me dão más fuerza para hacer un gran partido y aquí he hecho otra vez un gran partido, hemos podido ganar.
I don't think this would actually motivate him more to want to play and have an amazing game. Like, I think he would say it. I don't think it will motivate him more. I think he already knows what it is every game he goes in for. He goes in with an attitude of, I'm going to show you that I'm the best player in the world.
Vinicius assisted the game-winning goal to Jude Bellingham to win the first leg versus City. But back to the point again. Notice a little dance he does right at the end, or this in the game as well. Pointing to the number of Champions Leagues Madrid has won? In this case, it's City as a club who provokes him, and seeing him get the final one over them and celebrate as he did, it almost feels like you wanted it to happen, because that was a direct sub. In cases where he gets provoked by large fan bases like this, honestly, it becomes hard to question any sort of attitude or response he gives back. The truth is, guys, unfortunately for Vinicius Junior, the man who once made the statement where he said he just wants to play football, that won't be happening anytime soon. He cannot just play football now. It's like he's got a lot of baggage on him that he doesn't even realize yet. One thing is for certain though, he's emerged as one of the best players of his generation. It's crazy to think how he's still only 24 years old. He's got his best years ahead of him, and with the way he's improved his numbers, it's been a steady progression with impressive returns for a while now. As controversial as he is, where Vinny has become Real Madrid's go-to man for solutions, another superstar is finding his feet at the club. It's rosy for Kylian Mbappe now, the recently crowned La Liga Player of the Month winner, a hat-trick versus Man City at the Bernabeu. But it's easy to forget that just a few months back, Mbappe was getting so much abuse that some had even labelled him as a flop. Want to know just how bad Kylian Mbappe was during that period? Well, it's all in the next video.